Hello there. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. I want to talk to you about a few arguments for this abortion situation that we've been having. I've been hearing these arguments that are kind of cynical and blanket statements, a lot of times hyperbolic, and I want to address them. The first one I'll just go ahead and knock out is rape and incest. Now, a lot of people think, or when you talk about being against abortion, the first thing they say is, well, what about rape and incest? And well, what about rape and incest? If abortion was only limited to rape and incest, would you be satisfied with that? I don't think they would. And how much does rape and incest actually make up of abortions? Well, rape is 1% and incest is a half a percent. Now, do I think that abortion is okay for rape and incest? No, I don't. And that's because I believe abortion is murder. I believe abortion is murder in every case. Now, you may think that, well, you must not care about women, and that's not true at all. I don't just care about women's rights, I care about human rights. A long time ago, slavery was made about states' rights when it was really about human rights. When people are trying to take the rights of another human, they'll often try to frame it in a way that makes it seem like you're protecting somebody else who needs to be protected. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay rape and incest in any way. I understand that these are very traumatic things. And my point is that we can't use traumatic events to justify murder or justify more traumatic events. It doesn't fix anything in the end to murder the child who was innocent of all the crimes. And this also brings me to the point that there really is no basis in law for abortion. There's nothing in our Constitution that says that abortions should be legal. In fact, since the 13th century, it's been common law that the unborn have had rights. So it wasn't until the mid 20th century that we thought abortion was okay. And this really originated where? Nazi Germany. And in the 30s, these Nazi Germany nurses, they weren't part of the Nazi military, they were nurses. And they were euthanizing mentally ill children. And then they started euthanizing orphans because it made a lot of sense, right? You don't want those people to be a drag on your society. Who's going to take care of them? Nobody cares about them, right? Well, that sort of thinking is how we justify abortion. And I'm just saying, because people live traumatic events, because people live with suffering, is not a reason to prevent a life from happening. It's like saying genocide prevents suffering. Do you think the Holocaust prevented a lot of suffering? And that brings me to my next point, which is when people say that the people who are against abortion don't care about the child once they're born, it's just absolutely wrong. That's a very blanket statement. And there may be some people out there that that statement pertains to, but it's just not true. If you do a search online, there are hundreds of nonprofits and Christian organizations that take care of children without parents and orphanages. We don't want to give more money to the government to take care of this problem because we don't like our government. Our government screws everything up. And if you really want these kids to come up in a screwed up environment, have the government run these organizations. When we give more taxes to the government, they send it to Ukraine or some other thing. That's why we don't want to pay more taxes for these orphans to be taken care of. But we do give our money to private charities. And just because somebody's not giving directly to a private charity doesn't mean that they aren't giving to it indirectly. A lot of times when Christians give to their church, the church turns around and donates to different organizations. So the people give their money to the church, trusting that the church will be a good steward of their money. So when you say that people who don't want abortions don't care about the child once they're born, it's just absolutely not true. And I would really like to see any evidence at all of that. Now, a lot of people will say, well, making abortion illegal isn't going to fix all of our problems in our society. And you're probably right. But that's not the point. The point is, if murder is murder and we as a society value human life, we should make murder illegal in all senses. Will there be hard things that come up because people are not allowed to end their pregnancies? I'm sure there will be, but is that a reason to end the life of humans who haven't had a chance to do anything in this world at all? And if you talk to a lot of adults, you'll talk to people who went through traumatic events as a child, or talk to people who had terrible childhoods who are actually perfectly happy now. Some of them might not be, but a lot of them are, and a lot of them value their life. So for you to be the one that decides that a life about to be lived is not worth living because it doesn't live up to your standards, you're living by cynicism and human standards and not by God's standards. And even if you don't believe in God or believe in God's standards, you have to admit that human life is special. And if you don't, well, then you're just an evil bastard. To live your life by principles and not by cynicism. If you see dark things in our world and see suffering in our world and think that that's a reason to go back on your principles, well, you need to take a second look at that and follow your principles, base your life on principles, and your decisions will become a lot easier. Thanks for watching this. I hope you come back sometime. Hit the like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.